The same credit rating agency that sparked fresh panic in the EU has now threatened the U.S. Moody says it's reviewing America's top AAA debt rating for a downgrade, citing the political bickering that's deadlocked budget negotiations in Washington. Well, for more on this, we're now joined by author, investor, and the co-founder of the Quantum Fund, Jim Rogers, live from Singapore. Mr. Rogers, thank you very much for being here with us in the program. Well, as we know, this isn't the first time budget talks have stonewalled, but differences have always been overcome. Why is Moody picking now to review the U.S. rating?
Marina, you are asking an extremely good question. The U.S. rating should have been downgraded years ago. I don't know why they're just now getting around to it, but we know that the rating agencies don't have much of a clue about anything. They got everything wrong in subprime. They've gotten everything wrong for a long time. I don't know why they don't understand what's going on.
Well, but then wouldn't delaying on debt payments be more disastrous for both sides than losing a few political points?
I'm sure that they're not going to close down the United States government. This is political posturing and nothing more. Something will happen. They will announce some kind of deal. It will look good on paper, and maybe it will even be good for 6 months or so. But 6 months from now, a year from now, it's going to be the same old stuff. We're not going to have much progress, and the United States is going to continue to go into decline. The United States is the largest debtor nation in the world, and it's getting worse. It's not getting better.
Well, of course, amid all those negotiations and bickering, we've got to remember the man in the street and what impact, if any, are the negotiations going to have on everyday life, and what does the public make of the political bickering?
I don't think it's going to have any effect at all on everyday life for anybody, and I suspect the public should ignore it. I'm ignoring it for the most part because I know they're just sitting there yattering away to each other, and none of us are going to benefit in the end. The public should be very worried because America's situation is dire and our debt is going up and our declining standard of living is going to get worse. We should be worried about that. But this stuff that's going on in Washington right now, I know you have to report it, and I know all the media have to report it, but the markets aren't paying too much attention. I'm an investor. I got investments all over the world. This has it has no effect on the way I invest in the world.
Well, let's talk about the options that U.S. has at the moment. I mean, are there any options open to it? For example, does it even have a choice other than to increase the debt ceiling, in your opinion?
But no, of course they don't. They have to increase the debt ceiling for the moment. There's no question about that. Their choice, though, for the future is they've got to take an axe. No, they've got to take a chainsaw to government spending and do something about it. They're not going to do that. They're going to say they're going to do it, Marina, but they're not going to do it. They might announce they're going to do it for this to get the budget ceiling passed, but it's not going to have any effect.
Well, let's imagine the situation if America's rating changes, and it would certainly wreak havoc on world markets. What's there to be gained? I mean, what's the point of this downgrade?
Marina, the United States already has been downgraded in the world markets. I'm not the only person who knows that the United States is the largest debtor nation in the history of the world. Look at the value of the U.S. dollar. It's down fairly significantly over the past few years. By the way, you can look at Japan. Japan was downgraded several years ago. In Japan, people still buy Japan government bonds. The Japanese currency is at, a 60-year high or 70-year high. People know that Japan is a better place to be than other places. Don't pay too much attention to the rating agencies. They don't have a clue what's going on.
Well, it seems like Moody's is on a downgrading spree there. I mean, it's made several headlines recently, from downgrading Portugal and Ireland and now to threatening the dollar's very foundation. In your opinion, what's driving the company there?
Well, Moody's is trying to save itself. Why didn't they downgrade Portugal 3 years ago, 5 years ago, or Greece? They're just getting around to reality. It's like the subprime mortgages. They didn't downgrade anybody until it was already over. They had many people that were going bankrupt rated as AAA. Moody's and Standard & Poor's and these places, they're paid by their subscriber, by the people that they rate. So they have a conflict of interest, and they're American, and so they feel very hesitant to downgrade the United States. They're afraid Congress will come after them. I mean, they're playing in Never Land. They're not playing in reality. Everybody in Russia, everybody in the world knows that the U.S. is not a prime credit anymore. You know, everybody knows. I'm not the only person who knows that we're the largest debtor in the history of the world. Moody's may be the last to get it, or maybe because of political reasons the last to admit it, but it's fact.
Well, despite the economic turmoil, the dollar still remains the world's reserve currency, and as long as Washington can print the greenback, is debt even a threat to the country, you think?
Not in the near term. I actually own the U.S. dollar because it is being beaten down because people are a little bit too pessimistic at the moment. But longer term, Marina, something is going to replace the U.S. dollar. More and more countries, including Russia and China, many countries are starting to move. South Korea, American ally, are starting to move away from the U.S. dollar. Everybody sees that Washington is not going to solve this problem, and more people are looking for something to replace the U.S. dollar. Whether it's going to be a combination of currencies or something else, I don't know yet. But some people are moving away from the U.S. dollar. I know that Russia is, and I hope that you too are, Marina.
All right, Jim Rogers, time will tell. Thanks very much indeed for this interview and for sharing your thoughts with us here in the program. That was Jim Rogers, author, investor, co-founder of the Quantum Fund. Thank you very much indeed for being with us here in RT.
Thank you, Marina.